It's July 31st, 2024. I'm with Mr. John J. Jeckovich, and we're reading his book. The book is titled Their Mother's Sons. He wrote it about 24 years ago. It's approximately 900 pages. It takes you from his kindergarten to his retirement, with the highlights being Battle of Bulge, shot up twice, put back into the Battle of Bulge, getting married, having a business, a laundromat, and having children, and then retirement. Right now we're on chapter 13, page 352, and it's titled Renee, Tripe, and Etampes. Page 352. Mr. Jeckovich, do you have your dog tag number?
42095.
Do you have your dog tag number, Mr. Jeckovich?
Yeah, 42095.
Okay. Would you want to read your book, or you want me to read it?
No, go ahead, you read it.
Do you want to give any comments before the hospital in Paris or anything? Well, you're looking well today. Looks like you got a matching outfit, new clothes, fancy shoes.
New clothes.
New clothes, fancy shoes. You were just shaved. You have a haircut. You look like you're ready to go to a wedding.
Yeah,
Look like you're ready to go to a wedding. So how are you feeling today? Pretty good?
Yeah.
The other day, we talked about your longevity, and you said you still feel like you're 40. Do you still feel like you're 40?
No.
I thought you said you felt like you're 40 the other day.
Say again?
The other day where you had questions about your longevity, and you commented, even though you're knocking on the door of 100, you still feel like you're 40 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then we commented some of the reasons from your longevity were no smoking, no drinking, and you jogged for 80 years.
Yeah.
You jogged for 80 years. And I mentioned to the fact in driving here to the studio the other day, I see people jogging, and they had these very expensive jogging pants and hats and water bottles. Is that what you wore when you were jogging?
No, I wore a pair of overalls and a t-shirt.
And that was it?
Yeah.
You didn't have no fancy jogging suit?
No, I had nothing.
An interesting fact, when you started jogging 80 years ago, it wasn't fashionable. Not many people were jogging. And some people would yell, "Hey, mister, can't you afford a car, or we need a ride?" They didn't realize back then that you were jogging for health.
Yeah.
What got you started in jogging? Was it the Army?
No, I read a book on it. I read a book, I can't think of the author.
And then that got you motivated to jog for 80 years.
Yeah.
That's really good. So you were before your time. Okay, here we go. You ready for me to start reading, or want any more questions?
No, go ahead.
For dinner, we had fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and several vegetables. For dessert, we had chocolate cake and a course of hot, steaming coffee. It was marveled in tribute to the American ingenuity and the manufacturing skill to be engaged in an all-out war and still have time and space for chocolate cake. That's interesting. Even though you're in a major war, they still, at the Paris hospital, they still had time and space for chocolate cake.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And during this time, the Battle of Bulge is going on, but a few months prior to the actual Battle of Bulge, where Hitler got together 700,000 men, 1,000 tanks, and this was his last-ditch effort to win the war. And he says, if I don't win the war, I'm going to kill a lot of Americans, and he did. But prior to Christmas of 44, most of the top brass and the generals thought the war was winding down.
Yeah.
They had no idea what Hitler had up his sleeves, and as a result, several generals were doing things such as one general went to a wedding, another general went golfing with his buddies, and couple generals were having custom-made shotguns and pearl-handled pistols made.
Huh.
Well, there was one general that didn't think it was winding down. His name was General Patton, and this was just in the beginning of December, And General Patton shook his head. He goes, this war is going to get bigger and not less. And he was right. And General Patton's birthday happens to be on December 25th, Christmas. And he says, I can't think of a better Christmas present and a birthday present ever than kill a few Germans today. And that's what he said when all his other associates were doing leisurely things.
Yeah.
And he was 100% right. The Germans came at it big and hard, and this was Hitler's last-ditch effort. And that was the end of it with Hitler. And so he later committed suicide, and on strict orders, him and his girlfriend / wife were taken out back of his mansion or his castle. Gallons and gallons of gasoline were instructed to be poured on him, and lit him afire. He didn't want anyone to get their hands on their bodies. He even killed his two or three dogs prior to killing himself.
Huh.
So it did end well for him, but the evil man from 39 to 45 destroyed a lot of lives, a lot of Jewish lives, young Americans, young Frenchmen, young Englishmen, all over the world. He destroyed lives. And one way to end, he commits suicide and he has his body burned because he didn't want anyone to get a hold of his body. What do you think would have happened to disgusting swine Adolf Hitler if he didn't kill himself? How do you think he would have been treated by the...
Well, they take him to the court.
And what do you think would have happened?
Well, they crucify him.
Yeah. So he knew it wasn't going to look good for
Yeah, he
him.
didn't know that, yeah.
Yeah. An interesting point when we're talking about Hitler and his pure devastating evil, he had many attempts against his life in assassination attempts. And over 5,000 of his top military men were killed at the hands of Hitler, mostly SS, that he thought were involved in the assassination attempts against him.
Yeah.
And so what Hitler did, if he knew that you were in some type of plans to assassinate him, the torture was unbelievable, what he would have done to you. Just couldn't describe the torture he would do if he knew you're involved in assassination attempt against him. But an interesting fact, if you're one of his friends, so-called friends, and a member of the SS, and the finger was pointing at you that you were also involved in assassination attempt against Hitler, he would give you the privilege, Hitler would give you the privilege of taking your own pistol and blowing your brains out.
Yeah.
Instead of going through all the torture.
Huh.
What a gem of a man. What a gem of a man. All right, here we go. We're in Paris. We're at a hospital. We're recovering. You're getting good meals, and you're getting ready. You already met a lady named Renee. First, we went to Ann Mahaney from Owensboro, Kentucky, and then we moved forward to Haverford West, and you met a fine young lady there, and now we're in Paris, and you met another fine lady named Renee. So out of the three fine ladies that you met as a 19-year-old combat infantryman, which one of those three did you like the best?
Well, that's hard to say.
What's your gut feeling tell you?
Huh?
What's your gut feeling tell you if you have to give an answer? So
Well, Renee was half a nun.
Yeah. She had conflicts of continuing in a monastery because when she was in a monastery becoming a Roman Catholic nun in training in Paris, the Nazis killed her father and her brother, so she had a turnaround.
Yeah.
She was questioning her faith. So we have Ann Mahaney from Owensboro, Kentucky. We have Gene Young for Haverford West, and we're still, through the Daily Mail, we still have many of our associates still trying to find Jean Young. I think she's dead, but we still could have traces of her family that we could speak to. And finally, when you're in Paris recovering at the hospital, you met another found lady that was in the monastery that she left, and there was an artist, and her name was Renee. And Renee, as we finally know, we don't have to look for her because we know what happened to Renee. She was in the French resistance. And then tell us the rest of the story, what happened.
Well, the Germans got wide to her, so she was informing us. The Germans go up there and get their pictures painted, and they talk military stuff that we should have been talking, and then she took it to get the alley, and they got wise to it, and they took her out of the woods.
Yeah, but when you were visiting Renee in her house in Paris, what was your feeling when you're sitting around talking to her, and she's making you dinners and lunches, when she's an artist, so in her studio, you were surrounded by portraits of the SS officers.
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
Well, she was doing that as a way to get the information out of them. They go up there and they shoot their mouths off for her.
Yeah, because the SS...
They start bragging.
Yeah, because the SS have huge egos.
Yeah.
The only time the SS didn't have huge egos when they're in trial after the war. Then they turned into little cowards.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to hang a bunch of them, and we didn't. We gave them a second chance. I don't think they needed a second chance. They murdered millions and millions of people. So when you're sitting in Renee's place in Paris, all around you was really done nicely portraits of the German SS officers, right?
Yeah.
Any time when you were visiting Renee there, did any of the officers come? Knock on the door?
Yeah, to get their portrait painted.
No, when you were there. When you were there, did any of the officers come?
No, I was in American uniform.
But I'm just saying, if the Nazis were there, and now I think they probably were run out of Paris by this time.
Yeah.
And so they probably didn't come back for the portraits because they either were killed or they're run out of Paris.
Yeah.
Any other explanation you could think?
There are.
Why did they ever come back for their portraits, the SS?
Why
didn't the SS, their portraits are completed now, they're in full uniforms, huge egos, narcissistic bastards. Why didn't they come back for their portrait of themselves?
I was afraid to. They're either dead or they're on the run.
Yeah, on the run, you're right. That's what I thought. But she did fine work, right?
Huh?
She was a great artist, right?
Well, she just faces all day.
But she did a fine job.
Yeah.
Is your face somewhere?
I had it wrapped up with it. No, not that. I had something else, but I can't find half the stuff. I can't find nothing.
All right, that's all right.
Can't find nothing.
80 years, things disappear. The mess hall was a former private school cafeteria situated on the first floor, with the administration offices receiving docks
Yeah, this guy's still here.
for
He's still
incoming
here.
patients, yeah? The restaurant's a hard business. It was clean, spacious room with much natural light. There were many individual tables with chairs, so one did not feel crowded in, something we had to get used to. Recalling our eating arrangements aboard ship, the mess hall was exclusively for enlisted men and non-coms. The officers' patient mess hall was situated in a second wing on a second floor. After dinner, I walked to a large recreation room in a separate building a short distance from the mess hall. Upon our arrival at the hospital several weeks ago, we were issued some clothing, part of which was a new type tanker field jacket, and I was wearing. We had to be in uniform of the day while outside of the ward area. MPs patrolling the region would stop anyone out of uniform and politely inform them of the uniform infraction. So basically, if you were out of uniform walking through the streets of Paris,
Yeah.
the MPs would say, hey, get back and get a uniform on.
take your pass away.
Then you lose your pass.
Yeah,
So you always stayed in uniform, right?
yeah.
How was this new field jacket they issued you?
It was cut down to here.
Yeah.
It was an Eisenhower jacket.
Was it nice?
Oh yeah.
Did it keep you
They
warm?
didn't have that long one with the pockets on and everything else.
Did it keep you warm?
Huh?
Did it keep you warm?
No, they gave me two. Everything two double. Everything was two.
Once we were sufficient to abide by their directive, there were also minor issues considering what we had come from. I took a large easy chair in the corner of the rec room and listened to music on the jukebox. They were playing Glenn Miller music. Glenn Miller was pretty common then,
Oh yeah.
and I think with the old timers it's common today.
Yeah, String of Pearls.
Never
Yeah.
found the man.
Huh?
Glenn Miller never was been found.
No, no.
Never.
I lost his
What do you
shoes.
know about that story?
Huh?
What do you know about the Glenn Miller disappearing?
He was going to a concert. No, he's going to not to PO, not to camp. He was going to a seminar or something to find out what they're going to do after the war. And he got caught in the plane or something. The plane crashed or something. They never found him.
Do you remember what country it was in?
Huh?
What country this took place in? What country Glenn Miller's plane crashed?
In France.
Oh, yeah. And it's a mystery, never found today.
Never found.
Never found today. As I listened to the music, I kept on thinking of Renee and what if she'd been at the park tomorrow. I envisioned it in her mind, and all I could see was a beautiful, charming woman. I would guess her age at something a little bit older than I, perhaps 23 or 25. But you cannot always judge a French woman. They always look younger than they actually were. Why do you think that? Why do you think French women always look younger?
Well, they decorated themselves more.
They use a lot more makeup.
Yeah.
I thought of writing some letters, but thought of it better of it. Besides, I thought I was not going to write Jean or Anne. I could write to Mother and Sally, but what was I going to say? Whine about my aches and pains like a babbling old woman?
A what?
You said I wasn't going to write to Anne or Jean, but I could write to Mother and Sally. And you said, what am I going to say? Would I whine about my aches and pains like a babbling old woman? Furthermore, the Army censors turned me off. They read everything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the Army censors would go through your letter.
Yeah, black it right off. They cut the pieces off.
Cut the pieces out, okay. I sat there and listened to the music and thought about Renee. I wondered if I'd ever see her again. Some of the patients were playing pool while others were playing cards. Did you ever play pool or cards in the Army?
Pool or cut? No. They did a lot of it going on.
A lot of it went on.
Money, yeah.
But most were like me, just sitting around enjoying the warmth music and wondering when it would all end and we could get back to our old outfits. Lights out at 2100 hours, and I just had time for a Coke and another U.S. Marvel, and walked back to the ward to get ready for bed and a penicillin injection. The nurse came around after lights out and asked how we're doing, took our temperature, and then gave us an injections. She cheerfully said goodnight and asked if we desired a sleeping pill. Did you take sleeping pills there?
No.
And then she stated that she would be back in several hours for our shots. I had gotten used to the ordeal of the shot taking, and it seemed that I had taken them forever. That morning after breakfast, we looked over the medical staff, and our appropriate results were recorded on our diagnostic charts at the front of our beds. Minutes?
10.
Is my keys on the
I
cover?
got them.
Oh,
You can check his mail?
Yeah, I'll check them.
Check his mail now, finish up.
Okay.
Lights were out at 2100 hours. The morning after breakfast, we looked over the medical staff and the appropriate results we recorded on our diagnostic charts
Oh, look at that,
at the
yeah.
foot of their beds. We were then taken to physical therapy, which is a great deal cruder than the way it is practical today. Why was physical therapy a lot cruder? What took place in physical therapy?
What, in the army?
Yeah.
Well, it was more rougher, yeah.
Not like today.
No.
A large husky male orderly gave us 20 minutes of standing or sitting calisthenics, followed by individual body movements, in my case, my arms and legs. After that, we'd cool down by walking around the gym for 6 laps. After a 10-minute break, it was various classes and movies on such varied subjects as current events, war film footage, propaganda films, filth common activities, VD, and sights to see in Paris. Then it was back to the wards and our shots and preparing for lunch. After lunch, we were free into 1700 hours to do whatever we desired. I went to the orderly room for my sign-in pass and was greeted by a cheerful, pretty second lieutenant. I thought of T5 Eckerd and my experience with him when I came to the orderly room for my pass at Breckenridge. The lieutenant signed me in and gave me some sightseeing literature and $25 in French francs. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
What did it describe to us what $25
In French.
in French francs would look like? What did it look like?
It looked like toy money.
Play money.
Yeah, play money.
Very
Yeah.
colorful.
Yeah. Real thin, real thin.
Did $25 in French francs give you enough money to have a night out of town?
No.
Well, here's an interesting fact. She gave you $25 in French francs. However, that was only a loan from my back pay due me. So they made a note.
Yeah,
and when you got-
they deducted it, yeah.
it wasn't a bonus.
No.
It wasn't a bonus. Those
No.
cheap bastards. It wasn't a guy who's all shot up and they're giving him 25 stinking French francs and saying, let's mark it down in the book, and when you get your bullshit paycheck, which is next to nothing, we're to deduct it. Kiss my ass, Uncle Sam. He's cheap.
Well, I took half of the allotment home.
You said what?
Half of my allotment went home.
So you had that prearranged.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
So what did your mother, was she very thankful?
Huh?
Was your mother very thankful that you're sending
Never
after?
said anything about it.
Never said a word.
No.
When did it end?
None of them when I got out.
So to the last day, she was getting half your paycheck.
Yeah.
How big was your paycheck in American dollars?
And my army pay as a corporal, probably, I'd say 150 a week.
How much would it have been if they gave you the promotion they promised you 3 times as
Probably
sergeant?
350.
It would have went way up.
Yeah.
So not only were you cheated out of your stripes, you were cheated out of your money.
Yeah.
5 minutes left, just junk mail.
Okay, we'll give it to a minute, Devin. We'll give you junk mail, man. Okay, so they gave you money to go out on a town with,
Yeah.
and then they took it out of your pay. Boy, oh boy. I don't think they do that stuff today. I think they're very generous today. After a sightseeing tour, I reached the bench where Renee and I were talked, but there was no one around, not even the boys sailing their boats in the lake. I sat there disappointed in not finding Renee here, and wondered what to do next. Several hours to fill in the time into 1,700 hours. Another sightseeing tour did not really appeal to me, and I did not want to go back to the hospital for the rest of the day. I sat for a while dejected and not seeing Renee, when suddenly I got a whiff of a fragrance. I turned around and there was Renee, smiling that enticing, alluring smile. She just stood there, her left knee bent slightly and her other foot pointed inward with an accented or accentuous ankles. As I gazed at her, I was delighted and pleased at what I saw. Renee was wearing a rather short-length skirt, several inches above her knees. Would that be considered a mini skirt back then?
Yeah, yeah.
Mini skirt? Was that pretty much the custom in
That was
Paris?
the style, that was the style.
In Paris, that was custom for the ladies to wear
Oh,
mini skirts?
yeah.
Okay. I turned around and there was Renee, smiling at me. I gazed at her and I was delighted and pleased that I saw Renee was wearing a rather short-length skirt. Do you remember what color it was?
Green.
Wow, that's nice. Several inches above her knees, which displayed her beautiful legs in all of their splendor. She was wearing nylons, and I questioned that about, but said nothing. I found her high-heeled pumps essentially attractive. They gave her a delightful sophistication I found so attractive. She had a black short jacket that hugged her tiny waistline, and on her head she was wearing one of those charming French berets tilted at a sexy angle. She was wearing more makeup than yesterday, but not too extreme. In a word, she looked beautiful. Minutes?
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I expressed my delight in seeing her once again, and especially the way she looked. She understood me, blushed slightly, and smiled. As we stood here, I suggested that we walk a bit, and when she came close to me, I took her hand. It was warm and soft, and I ran my fingers against hers, feeling her slenderness. The touch of her fingertips sent a tingle throughout my body. As we walked, we talked, and I received much pleasure observing her face and mouth as she expressed herself. Her lips would form into a delightful manifestation as her mouth or thoughts, so I thought might understand them. We would bump into one another as she walked, and I could feel the softness and warmth of her body. To be near her was a delightful and very pleasant experience. We got into the business section of the town, the nearest park, and I saw a little outdoor cafe. I pointed it to Renee and nodded in agreement. Was there many cafes in this area?
Oh, yeah.
All outside?
All what?
All outside?
All outside, yeah.
And what was your favorite meal at these cafes? You remember?
Oh, depending what time of day it was.
How about the afternoon?
Afternoon would probably be their favorite dish there.
What's
A lot of it was brains too.
What was that?
Brains.
Did you still eat brains today?
Huh?
Did you like the brains?
Well, my mother gave us brains too.
20 seconds.
Did you like eating brains?
Huh?
Did you like eating
Yeah,
brains?
when they treat it up, yeah.
How's your mother cook them? Good?
Oh yeah, dressed it up, yeah.
Was that their specialty then during the daytime was brains
Yeah.
at these cafes?
Yeah, that was a delicacy.
That was a delicacy. I'll be damned. I never had brains.
5 seconds.
I never had brains.
All right, we'll pick this up tomorrow.
Okay,